we have some great nicknames in the NBA, from the Black Mamba, the Black Cat, the King, the Answer, the Beard, Uncle Drew. But how did they get their nicknames? Today we're going to look at how NBA players got their nicknames. Let's get straight into the video, man.
Sports nicknames add flavor to the
King
game.
James. Bro, I remember
I
remember when they used to do that in Christmas, bro. The King, they'll put like the nicknames, bro. They gotta bring that back this Christmas. Greek Freak was nice.
And Antetokounmpo, right? Some players become
Greek
so
Freak
synonymous
is very
with their
good.
nicknames, you actually forget their real names. This is how NBA players got their nicknames. And who better to start off with than the answer himself, Allen Iverson. When AI first came to the NBA, one of his
Allen
friends
Iverson
said
is
that when
probably
Jordan
top
retired,
5,
the
bro.
league would be in trouble from a marketing standpoint, and that he was the answer to their prayers. And shortly thereafter, Iverson and his friend went to a tattoo shop and got the answer on his arm.
Like
Iverson,
I like
Robert
that
Williams
right there.
also has a big arm tattoo which says loyalty. However, that's not his nickname. Robert Williams is better known as the Time
Bro,
Lord.
Time Lord is really nice,
cool, right?
bro.
Well, funny enough, Williams got his nickname by constantly being late, oversleeping at an introductory press conference when he got drafted, and subsequently missing a flight to Boston, as well as the team's first practice. The dude operated on his own time.
Oh my god, I thought it meant like something else, bro. I thought it meant something cool.
Celtic. And this one spread like wildfire because once it was said, it took only 24 hours to become a household name. After Paul Pierce dropped 42 on the Lakers in 2001, Shaq, he said this: "My name is Shaquille O'Neal, and
Paul Pierce is the mother truth."
As soon as
Shaq's name is Diesel, and
his friends and fans
solid,
calling Paul Pierce the truth. And let's be honest, he is still the truth today. However, Pierce wasn't the only superstar whom Shaq blessed with a nickname. When O'Neal got traded to Miami, it did not take long for him to give Dwayne Wade his new nickname. Due to his unreal speed and quickness, Shaq started calling Wade the Flash. And Shaq, he was also pretty famous for calling Chris Anderson Birdman. But, it wasn't really Shaq who gave Birdman this nickname. It actually came from his teammates, who started calling him that because of his absolutely crazy wingspan and unreal blocking.
Bro, his hairstyle was
Anderson
crazy,
would also later
bro.
pay homage to his nickname with a tattoo that said Free Bird. And even Shaq's colleagues on Inside the NBA are no strangers to giving out nicknames. You see, in the early 2000s, when the Matrix movies came out, Kenny Smith compared Sean Marion to Neo due to his speed and reflexes. And pretty soon, everybody started calling Marion the Matrix. As for some other players, they got their nicknames from their jersey numbers, like CP3 or PG-13. But the best nickname involving a jersey number belonged to the greatest Russian player
AK-47.
ever, Andrei Kirilenko. The initials AK and the number 47 on the jersey made it pretty easy to get.
That was just meant to be for him.
Even crazier, Kirilenko was born in Ijevsk, like the literal town where the AK-47 rifle was manufactured.
What the heck?
While it's generally uncool to give yourself a nickname, you get a pass if you're Kobe Bryant. You see, when explaining how he attacks the basket, Kobe compared himself to a black mamba, one of the quickest and most venomous snakes in
my opinion. I think
I am that killer snake.
Facts. That might be the greatest
Kobe
nickname,
was
bro.
one of the most legendarily
good
NBA players.
Black Mamba
the most legendarily
is
bad
really up
NBA
there.
player became one of the most famous, partly because he made a joke with Kobe's nickname. Brian Scalabrine often joked about his lack of athleticism, and during one presser, he called himself the White Mamba as a counterpart to Kobe's nickname. You see, the idea behind the White Mamba came to Brian when he was wearing white Kobe shoes and said that the shoes were called White Mamba 1s. Another non-superstar who everyone knows about is Nick Young.
Swaggy
and just
P.
like Scalabrine and Kobe, Young gave himself the nickname Swaggy P. One version of the story is that God came to Nick in a dream and told him the nickname himself. The other, the more believable version that is that his friends started calling him Swaggy due to his fashion sense. And he just had to be. When asked
he had some like the best
Nick
drip in the
really
NBA.
wouldn't tell, but based on his exploits that were revealed to us by D'Angelo Russell, we have a pretty good idea.
Nah, bro. Hey, yo.
And speaking of eggplants, if we said the nickname Chocolate Thunder or Double D, would you think of some adult film star or a basketball player? Well, if you guessed the latter, you would be correct because it belonged to Daryl Dawkins.
The only Double D I know is Ed and Eddie, bro. That's the only Double D I know.
Dawkins was one of the funniest characters in NBA history, and he gave himself a plethora of nicknames over the years, including Dr. Duncan Stein, Master of Disaster, and Sir Slam. But his most famous nickname, the Chocolate Thunder, well, it was actually given to Daryl by none other than Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder used to come to the ball games, and they would have a guy sitting with him. And the guy would be telling him what's going on in the game. And he would say, hey, the big chocolate guy just put down a thunder dunk. The chocolate guy with another monster dunk. And that's why Stevie Wonder started calling me Chocolate Thunder, which is pretty funny that you get your basketball nickname from a guy who never could see you play. And speaking of chocolate, we can't forget Jason
White
Williams,
chocolate.
who threw some of the nastiest dimes ever seen on NBA.
Might be one of the greatest playmakers, bro, in NBA history.
Cult nickname White Chocolate. Williams was of course white, but he played like he was one of the Harlem Globetrotters, so he got the nickname White Chocolate, given to him by a Sacramento Kings PR employee. And gotta be one of the best passers in NBA history is called the Chosen One or the King. The
King
name
is better,
King James was widespread by Nike when they signed LeBron in 2003. But LeBron himself was the king long before that, after he won his first high school championship in 1999. The fans in Akron, well, they started calling him King, and it stuck. One of LeBron's best friends and main rivals
Slim
in the
Reaper
NBA is Kevin Durant, aka KD, aka the Slim Reaper. But Durant, he really never liked that last nickname. When asked about the origins of it, KD simply said,
"'Cause I'm skinny and I do my work at night."
However, these days, most people are using Easy Money Sniper as his nickname.
Easy Money Sniper, that's really nice.
And KD recently said that his mom used to have a crush on this guy named Hakeem Olajuwon, a man who they called the Dream. He was nicknamed the Dream in college after he dunked so effortlessly.
That's like the only nickname for a move, right?
And 7 years later, after Hakeem became the #1 pick in the NBA, there was another first overall pick who had one of the funniest nicknames ever. Larry Johnson was the first pick of the 1991 draft, the Rookie of the Year, and a 2-time All-Star. Johnson was not shy to get in front of the cameras, and he's mostly remembered for his role in the original Space Jam. However, his nickname didn't come because of some Bugs Bunny reference, and in fact, stems from Larry's role in somewhat bizarre Converse commercials where he was dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire, or Medea, if you like Tyler Perry. Larry embraced the nickname Grandma that he played in the commercials, and that's how most people called him for the rest of his career. But probably one of the weirdest origin stories of someone's nickname belongs to Richard Rip Hamilton, who got his nickname from his father after he was constantly ripping his diapers as a baby. Oof, yikes, that must have smelled bad. However, it is one thing to get
I thought it was a hard nickname till now.
There are those guys that really become their nickname. I mean, their nickname literally becomes them. And nobody calls them by their real name anymore. Now, granted, there aren't many people who can say that, but for Irvin Johnson,
that his name is literally Magic
it
now.
suited him like a hand to
like
glove.
his fake name.
Johnson was first called Magic when he was a star at Everett High School in Michigan. He was given the nickname by a sports writer who had just seen the 15-year-old dominate the game with 36 points, 16 rebounds, and 16 assists, with crazy no-look and behind-the-back passes. But when Magic first came to the NBA, there was one superstar more famous than all of the others. His name was Julius Erving, but everyone called him Dr. J or just the Doctor. And like Magic, Julius got his nickname in high school as well. One of Irving's teammates was called the Professor, so he found it fitting that Irving gets called the Doctor because of his surgeon-like precision. But when it comes to multiple nicknames, there's no player in the NBA that comes close to Shaquille O'Neal, who invented most of his alter egos by himself. The Diesel, the Big Aristotle, Shaqtus, Shaq Fu, the Big Shamrock, and of course,
I never heard that one.
Which he was very reluctant to share with Dwight Howard, but that's a story for another video. Shaq's dear friend Charles Barkley also had multiple nicknames, but there are three that really stand out. The Round Mound of Rebound. That one is pretty self-explanatory.
Nickname,
he got that nickname
that's a phrase
because he weighed over 300 pounds while being the best rebounder in the NCAA. When he got to the NBA, his jaw-dropping skills
you could like call him something better, bro. You just called him a phrase.
Even though
Sir
Barkley
Charles,
was never really knighted. And I mean, Barkley liked that nickname, but he hated to be called Charlie.
Charlie? Nah, bro, these are weak, bro. How do we have all of these great nicknames and then
soon
Chuck? Yeah, Chuck is the best, but that's like every Charles in the world.
Barkley's teammate
They're
on the
called
Dream
Chuck.
Team, Mr. Larry Bird, was named
What's
Larry
Larry
Legend
Bird?
even
Larry
before
Legend?
his legendary career was over, given to him by reporter Peter Vesey.
That's
Bird's
also
other
weak, low-key.
famous nickname, Larry,
But it's
he
more
actually gave it to
iconic, I
himself.
guess.
When the media asked him why he doesn't love the attention like his arch rival Magic Johnson, Larry simply said, "I'm just a hick from French Lick, Indiana." And this name, that stayed with him forever. Of course, you all know we can't
Hick
talk
from
about
French.
Bird and Magic without mentioning Michael Jordan, who also had a few nicknames himself. We have to start out with the name on all his sneakers, Air. And if you watch the Ben Affleck movie called Air,
Air
then
Jordan
you know
is
that
cold.
the nickname came from his agent David Falk. Nike's just developed these new running shoes that have air technology that is supposed to cushion your feet, and it's a double
One of the
entendre in
greatest
the way
shoes
Michael Jordan
ever,
plays
lifestyle-wise.
basketball.
No one
In
plays. No
the
one
air.
plays with
People
them on.
later
I mean,
started
people do,
calling
but
Jordan his airness.
you're not.
But one of the
I don't know.
nicknames
He's
that
like,
he gave
it's not
himself
socially
was
accepted.
Black Jesus.
I
Black
have
Jesus is
10,
crazy, bro.
And he has
Come on,
4
bro.
points, right? I'm doing
This
all
is
the
just a
talking. It's like,
disgrace,
okay.
bro. Come on.
End of the
Hell
game in the
no.
second half, he ended up with 44, and I ended up with 12. And as
You
he's
just got-
walking
you just
off,
got
he's
clapped up,
like,
bro.
"Be sure and be careful. You never talk to Black Jesus like that."
But you see, Jordan
Jesus
wasn't
is
the
crazy.
first NBA player to be called Black Jesus. The original, the OG nickname belonged to Earl the Pearl Monroe.
The
who got
Pearl is
nicknamed
nice.
Jesus, which was absolutely beautifully explained in He Got Game.
You know what they call him?
What?
Jesus. That's what they call him, Jesus. Because he was the truth.
After the movie came out, Ray Allen often got called by his character in the movie. And when the NBA experimented with nicknames on
Bro,
jerseys,
they gotta bring
Allen's
this
jersey
back,
actually
bro.
said Jesus Shuttlesworth. But while
Shuttlesworth?
the nicknames became more common
Curry has
in the
really
modern
good. Chef
era,
Curry.
some old school ballers had some pretty unique names as well. Wilt Chamberlain, well, he was called the Big
The Big
Dipper
Dipper?
because he regularly had to actually dip his head down to avoid banging his head on the door frame. Jerry West was the first who was nicknamed
Mr.
Mr.
Clutch? That's
due to
nice.
his clutch
That's
gene,
cold.
especially after the half-court buzzer beater in the NBA Finals. But after
Half-court
the NBA
buzzer
put his
beater in the
silhouette
finals?
on his logo, West is commonly referred to now
The logo,
as
yep.
the logo, which I
That
think
might
is
be.
way
That might take the cake,
However,
bro.
while some
Imagine
players
being
get
the
called
logo.
by their nicknames by commentators or are even mentioned by their nicknames in third person, they really don't get called that by their friends or their teammates. You see, when somebody needed Jerry West for something, they didn't say, "Hey, Mr. Clutch, come over here." Or when somebody's talking to Joel Embiid, they won't
What is
call him
Embiid?
the process.
The
But
process? That's
then
not
there
really
are
his
those
nickname. That
nicknames
was like a
become
Sixers
so embodied with the
nickname.
person that you use that moniker so
T-Mac?
much that you actually forget their real name. Penny Hardaway's real
Penny
name
Hardaway
was
was
Anthony,
good.
but not
Anthony?
even his mother calls him Anthony. Penny got
Oh,
the nickname
Penny is
from
like
his
basically
grandmother.
magic.
When he was born, she referred to him as Pretty Baby. However, because of her southern accent, Pretty started to sound like Penny. Another player who's
Oh my
always referred to by his nickname is Big Baby Davis. His
Big
real name
Baby
is Glenn,
Davis.
but again, nobody called him that for decades. Davis was always very, very emotional and was always complaining. And when he was just 9 years old, his coach told him, "Stop crying, you big baby." Now, funny enough, Davis's coach with the Celtics was also named Glenn, but just like Davis, nobody calls Doc Rivers by his real name. And all
Doc
he had to
is
do
really
to earn
Glenn?
that nickname was come to his first
What?
college basketball practice in a Dr. J t-shirt. And because he was so athletic, soon everybody just started calling him Doc. And
That's
the
cool.
name, it just
Doc?
stuck. And for a guy who is
That's like
synonymous
from
with
Bugs
both
Bunny,
those
basically.
Glenns
Doc.
is Kevin Garnett. First,
KG.
because he literally made Big Baby Davis cry during a game, and because he solidified Rivers' coaching career, proving that
Anything's possible!
KG was known by the nickname The Kid when he first came to
The
Minnesota
Kid?
because, again, he came
That's kinda
directly from high school. But soon he started absolutely dominating, after which the Timberwolves commentator dubbed him the Big Ticket.
That's
and
nice.
it was pretty fitting
Ticket.
because he was literally the sole reason why the Timberwolves fans paid tickets to
Dude
see
was
the
a
games.
menace,
And a
bro.
quick glance at some current players, there are really a lot of fantastic nicknames
Joker,
in the NBA
the
right now,
Beard.
like Grand Theft Alvarado, Tsunami Poppy, or Hillbilly
Tsunami
Kobe,
Poppy
the
is
college
funny, bro.
nickname of Austin
Hillbilly
Reeves.
Kobe.
And if you wish to find out more amazing stories from the NBA, please subscribe to our channel.
Yeah,
and
man. Shout out to Nonstop for the video. Like the video, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.